It's Coast to Coast with Hammer Brayshaw and Oscar Allen. Thanks to the wonderful team at West Coast Health and High Performance. Tex Perkins, and if you need anything, you need the physio, need to be looked after, it is West Coast Health and HP. They are based here at Mineral Resources Park, just out the front of the main building there. So get along to see Tex, who's been around the caper for a long, long time. Thanks for being on board, West Coast Health and High Performance. Of course, the stars of Coast to Coast are Hammer Brayshaw and, well, Moneybags Allen, they like to call him.
Yeah, welcome back. Thanks for having me, Goss. A little hiatus for yourself, but you've come back at a really, really good time for the podcast.
Yes, good afternoon.
Free coffees and lunch, I think, for us for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, we genuinely thought, now we're recording this on a Wednesday, it's normally done on a Tuesday, and we were hoping that we would get the exclusive here on Coast to Coast, something that we have stayed with you, we've steered clear of the contract talk at your call, and all of a sudden you pop up on the website declaring it.
Yeah, well, we normally do film, as we say, on a Tuesday afternoon, and I actually found out late on Monday evening that the deal had gone through, and I was told under strict proviso, do not tell anyone, like tell your mum and dad and maybe your partner and no one else. Yeah, so I was expecting something to happen, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll reveal at the podcast. And then I had our media manager come up to me after training yesterday and say, congratulations, I heard about your deal. And I was like, oh, so it's obviously public news now.
It's out there.
And then, went from there, but really excited to sign on.
How do you go seeing it in print where, you know, they've got the dollar signs and the word millions and extended contracts and all that sort of stuff? As a young man who's in the infancy of your career, how do you go about seeing that, the acceptance of your back page news?
It's pretty confronting, to be honest. I mean, a lot of it, and the media take headlines, and someone might say something which is no factuality whatsoever, and then that's kind of the headline, and I think the more you read those articles, there's not actually that much depth to them. It's just basically throwing out something which will grab the viewers to try and get people to look at it, but it's strange behind the scenes, being from understanding what's actually going on and how different it is to the perception that's given. But I'm really thankful the club have been terrific with me. They go through a lot of contract talks, and obviously in the last couple of years I had Gov's big contract and then Tim Kelly, all of the drama surrounding that. So they were pretty good with me. They weren't saying, oh, are you leaking this or what's happening here? They were pretty comfortable with, we know it's not you, just put it to the back and we'll deal with it internally.
Yeah, mate. And looking at it, I mean, that attention-grabbing stuff you say, the way they report all this stuff, I think typified in the little Oscar photo of the golden you, which was a little bit arousing at some stages. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. But, it was an interesting little picture. But, mate, thoroughly deserved. And, I'm just speculating here, but I don't think you're the $1 million man yet. I don't know the ins and outs of your contract, but what is it, 3 years? You'll be a 7-year player by then. My prediction will be an All-Australian and probably be worth the price tag by the next one. But for now, mate, you're just living pretty for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. No, I think the main thing was, obviously the club's put a lot of faith in me the last couple of years, and a lot of the numbers that we're throwing around, I'm realistic. And I understand I'm probably not worth that. There's probably only 7 or 8 guys around the comp that roll around at that kind of money, and I'm not at that level. So I think even if that was to occur, I'd probably feel a little bit bad and probably put too much pressure on myself. Realistically, you want to sign for what you think you're worth, and if you go overs, then you probably have too high expectations. The big chopper main deal. Yeah.
I think just on that, the $1 million man sounds better and writes a lot better in paper than... You're just under. Yeah.
But just under.
The just under man.
It's interesting, and been around the block a few times in player contracts and the like, I have never, quote, hand on heart, never known money or years of contract if it doesn't come directly from the player's mouth, the manager's mouth or the club's mouth, and for people to speculate. I mean, I know you're right. It makes a good headline, and I get it, and people have got ins here, there and everywhere. But your manager and Andrew McDougall and Dukes has handled it, and the footy club, there's no way that they would have told any members of the media what your dollars and cents and your value is. They just wouldn't have done it. So it's interesting how the media, and may I say it, I'm a little bit on the other side now, are just ballsy enough to say it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always
a ballpark figure out there and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure how they get these ballpark figures. I'm not sure where they come from, but AFL is probably one of the major sporting leagues in the world that still it's kind of a little bit of a mystery what each
it's a
individual
guessing
player
game.
is getting. Because obviously the NBA, the NFL, you can look on your phone and Google so-and-so salary and it'll come up. So I'll be interested to see in the next 10 years or so if that becomes public knowledge. I think we definitely don't want it to be public knowledge because it just opens you up for ridicule. And it's also within the four walls of the club. Like, I don't know what my teammates are getting paid, and they don't, nor should I. And it's the same the other way around.
It'll be interesting to see, though, at the end of the year, when they normally, the AFL and the Players Association or something, they always say, these were the $7 million players. And it'd be interesting if you're...
I don't think it'll pop up. I don't think so.
Just looking at it from that point of view was the fact that no one really knows. The public knowledge is for first and second year draftees. That is that you can find if you want to Google it. AFL, the CBA, it says in there what the mandatory first year, second year payments are, and I think people just speculate off that. So it's like, okay, well, he's a second year player. This player is X times better than a second year player, so he should be earning this much. And I think that's how they get a little ballpark figure.
Tell us about the process, though, as a player. I mean, you've got to be in the process, but how involved were you? How long did it take? And how often are you picking up the phone going, hey, how's it all travelling? And just give our listeners to the podcast Coast to Coast a perspective of a contract deal which you've now signed.
It's definitely independent of each individual player. So I've got a pretty close relationship with my manager, Andrew McDougall at Corporate Sports. He's been great for me, and we're pretty good friends apart from being a manager, so we talk pretty often anyway. But yeah, so obviously the club contacted and saying they were looking to re-sign, and then as that happened, some media member caught a whiff of it, and then that's when all these articles started to get posted, probably around round 1 or 2 of the season. And then from then on out, it's kind of been, we set a benchmark of something we thought would be realistic, and then I kind of let my manager deal with it with the club. It works really well that way, so I'm not walking into the club and running into the general manager of football and feeling a bit uncomfortable because we've just had a yelling argument last night over the phone. But it definitely is a weird period of time, I suppose, when you do, if they have offered you something and you've countered or whatever it may be, that you see them the next day and they know what you're thinking as well. But my manager was great with kind of separating that, so I wasn't in any of the conversations with any of the club directly. And the club, they're really respectful of, they understand I'm a young man and it is an uncomfortable situation to be put in. But I couldn't speak more highly of the club after how they handled it.
Yeah, it's funny listening to that. Distinctly different. I was on one end. I got one contract extra than I was drafted on. So I was drafted, and then I was given a rookie contract for a year. And I remember you speak your story about doing the re-signing. I was in Cambodia building houses.
We were there together. I remember that was a great trip.
And it was one afternoon. We just got back, and I was up in my room, and we had it was just shocking internet in the middle of Phnom Penh. And I was speaking to my manager because I was out of contract. And he sort of rang me on WhatsApp, and it was a sketchy phone call, and I heard him say rookie spot or something like that, and I was like, what? And then I also heard him say delisting, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? So the way it works for those at home, if you're going to be moved from the senior to the rookie list, they delist you and then we'll pick you up again in the rookie draft. And because of the scratchy internet, I heard maybe a rookie spot, and then I heard delist, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And then he hung up the phone and texted me saying this is what's happening. So you get the smooth transition of a couple of years sign on to a mid-Cambodia trip, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
That would be incredibly unsettling, though. On a serious note, that would be incredibly unsettling.
Oh, I mean, I knew it was. I knew I was sort of 50-50 there or thereabouts, and it was funny that trip sort of coincided with the re-signings and the rest of it. And I said to the footy guys, regardless of whether I'm here or not, I'd still like to go. And they said, yep, love to have you go away. So I went away, and I knew that I thought I played a pretty good back end to my second year, 2019. So and I thought, if I'm ever going to be a sniff for a rookie spot, I've done everything I can to get there. So it was probably a nervous 30 seconds. So I heard the word before I left, that was probably in the works. He's like, look, mate, this is probably 75% how it's going to play out. And then I got that phone call, and it was 30 seconds where I thought, oh no, I've been delisted, to then hear, no, mate, this is what's happening. So 30 seconds of a little bit of shock.
Just on that Cambodia trip, that was a fun trip because we were all just out of the season.
Yep.
And if you remember, there was yourself, Brandon Archie,
yep,
I believe Fraser McGuinness,
yep,
and Josh Smith.
Yep.
And you were all out of contract going into the next year. And it was a bit of Russian roulette because all of them great men. Some of my, like Josh Smith, probably one of my best mates. Horse, a tremendous man. And then obviously Cheese still at the club, and he's a ripper. But it was kind of we probably knew that not everyone was going to come back the next year, and it was almost like, all right, how do we make this a challenge? Where, Simo, 2 go through, 2 get eliminated.
Well, we were playing. Because when we got over there to make the game to make the trip a little bit more interesting,
oh my God, we
played Survivor. So
yes.
I brought in this little Survivor game, and that was actually quite fun. But it's funny that you say that because it did mirror what was actually happening. I mean, Fraze probably knew that he was, he'd stuck around for the West Coast waffle to get up, and he got that going. And then I think he'd already been told that he was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I remember him telling me the day he went into his final exit meeting, just like walking in there, shaking hands, thanks for coming, slapping up, and and then Josh. I think Josh got thanks for coming. So it ended up being got the ass. It ended up being 2-2. So and she's been on 1-year deals for the last 8. So
Now I listened to most of last week's podcast, and
Most of.
did go for 58 minutes.
It was long, but gee, he's very good, Thumper. Very, very good. But you've nominated for the mid-season AFL draft.
I have, yes.
Yeah. Is it just a suck it and see?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's not. I still do want to play. I mean, I think I've still got AFL footy left in me if I get another chance. I mean, there's no harm in putting a name down and rolling the dice. But yeah, I mean, either way, I'm quite happy.
The Bont has signed a big deal as well.
He has.
There's $1 million man.
Now there is $1 million man.
If I've ever seen
No,
one.
Bont
He might already be.
Yeah, he is. I think actually, I won't say how, but I got my hands on a list of players that are on that, and he is like
1 of 7, I think.
1 of 7, I believe,
Yeah.
and he is a genuine superstar.
He's a real talent.
How old is he? 25?
Yeah, they're about
25,
He'd
26?
be really on the edge of the mystery thing. Like, is he 25 runner? That's a
great start. But I think he's coming to the end of his restricted free agency. So for the first 8 years of the club, you're a restricted free agent, and then after your 8th year, you become an unrestricted free agent. So those marquee players like your Bonts, Gov a couple of years ago for us, Lance Franklin when he made his big move to Sydney, they're the type of players that warrant and get the bigger deals at that stage of their career.
Fair enough too.
Roth, Redden, Duggan, Brander, Barras all coming out of contract predominantly to the end of 2022. I mean, when you look at those names, those 5 names, they're not going anywhere, are they?
Yeah, well, obviously Roth is a really good friend of ours, and he's had a great start to the year. He's probably playing is playing really consistent footy. So I'm sure they'll get sorted out pretty quickly. Obviously, Reddo, senior player.
Reddo's just about playing the best footy of his life.
Yeah,
he's had a phenomenal start to the year.
Really well respected. Duggo, a star. He won't. I don't know. I don't want to put words
in his mouth. But I mean, looking at those 5 names, Reddo's the senior head, but he's playing in, I think, career best footy. And then the other 4 are all, mainstays of the team and all young fellas that you're looking to build the team on.
Do you feel like, and you've got to focus on your contract and your situation, but do you feel like when the card falls that you sign, that gives them a bit of a vibe in regards to how they're looking at their futures as well?
Oh, I mean, I suppose so, but most guys are realistic and have their own careers in the front of their mind. Obviously, for me, the biggest thing was team success, and that's the biggest reason why I was so keen to re-sign, because we've got such a great list. And then obviously secondly to that is just the culture and how we get along. So I think all the other players are in the same mindset. I think, say, flip a coin, I do leave. I don't think you would change that much of what other people do. I reckon most guys have what they want anyway, and it's an industry where if you're lucky you'll get 12, 13 years. On average you'll probably get 3 to 4, and not many guys will be able to have a long career. So you've got to be selfish in some regards to do whatever's in your best interest.
And I think the way the footy, like our footy team is, footy department, is, and our list managers are very switched on. Like, they would not put a deal in front of you that if you took would compromise, the foundation of the club.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were to, the deal you've taken, I don't think that would in any way affect Tom Barras re-signing. They would work it so that they've got their core group of players, the young fellas that they want to bring on. They would put deals here and there to make sure that they can build and sustain that team.
This could be the headline, so be careful how you answer it, Oscar.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Plead the 5th.
Which other club would you go to if it wasn't West Coast? If you were growing up as a boy?
The New York Knicks.
Don't look around looking for a safety net. It's all done, so it doesn't really matter. It's an absolute hypothetical. Which is the footy club that you go, gee, I wouldn't mind cracking in on there, see what it's like on the other side. Not that you're going anywhere.
No, I'm not digging the grave. No. West Perth. Go back to West.
Don't look at me like
Go
that.
back to West Perth.
Falcons.
No, I love the club, and I can't even the thought of playing for another club makes me sick. Makes me spew up. I hate every other club.
Mate. Yeah, well answered.
Alrighty, we've got votes to give very, very shortly
Yeah, we
in
do have
regards
votes to
to
give
the
shortly.
performance.
Yep.
But let's talk about the performance. It was an arm wrestle. It was an absolute arm wrestle. It was only going to take one moment in that last quarter against GWS, and it happened for them. And you come away and make the long trip, 5.5 hour flight back to WA without the points.
Yep, disappointing result. I think we've said that too many times this year, and it's one of those games where I thought we were really competitive and in it for a lot of the game. And personally, I had a little bit of the Western Bulldogs feel at the start of the year to it, where that last quarter we were maybe up by a goal or down by a goal for a long period of time and couldn't convert on the scoreboard, and then they probably kicked 2 goals late in the game to put them over the line. And as we said, disappointing. They were probably tougher on the day than us, and I think we'll accept that. But we got to bounce back. And Essendon this week will be a really, really good challenge because they've come off a great performance last week.
But their preparation's been thrown into chaos. They're in Perth when this podcast gets put out into the ether.
Yes.
They're already here. That's a long time, isn't it? They weren't planning for it.
No, I mean, unfortunately, that's the way the footy landscape's been the last year and a half, that you can plan as much as you want for things, but it can be thrown on a whim. So they're over here as of, I think, right now. So, I mean, they'll try their best to make it as normal as they can the next few days, and I'm sure they'll be that won't affect their performance this weekend too much.
What was your take on the boys' performance from the GWS Giants game?
Oh, I thought it was the intent game. The boys really showed effort, but I mean, there wasn't too much that went poorly wrong, but it just wasn't. I didn't think it clicked as well as we have in previous weeks. To their credit, GWS were pretty good.
Yeah, they were good.
I thought they played some good footy, and then as you said before, an arm wrestle that just sort of went. It could have gone either way in the end, and I don't think we probably deserved to win.
It's expensive business for Sheeta the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Sheeta's getting fines left, right, and centre. No,
He loves his money.
yeah, we were just actually saying after the flight. So it was a 5.5 hour flight, long flight to Sydney. After a win, obviously the plane's delayed by an hour, and then we arrived back in Perth. And then the bags are delayed by an hour, so we're getting home at 1:30 and thinking, this would have to be a tough road trip. So disappointing weekend, but on to the next one.
I think for Sheeta, he'll probably just have to schedule in one more trip to a bar and do a little talk about his grand final goal. That'll put 1,000 back in his
Sign a jumper.
Sign one jumper, speak for 10 minutes, and that'll put the money back in the pocket.
Let's turn our attention to against East Perth. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
And one thing that Thumper, Steve Bandy and myself were calling on the live stream, how dark was it? We asked for the lights to be turned on at halftime. It was pitch black.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit dark. The rain was predicted. Everyone knew it was going to be raining all week. We went out at the start of the game and you could see the clouds. It was like, it's going to rain at some point. Fingers crossed it can hold off. It wasn't much in the first quarter. There might have been, the first half. There was a drop here and there, and then you rolled out at half time. And do you watch Harry Potter? You seen them?
Yeah, the best movie ever.
Yeah, the greatest movies, my favourites of all time. The 5th Harry Potter, when they're at home and the Dementors come out of nowhere.
Yes, and the lights go out.
And the lights go out and just the clouds get black. That's what it was like rolling out at half time. I looked up and I'm thinking, it's either I'm either going to get my soul sucked out by a Dementor or it's going to buck it down.
At the creepy playground.
Yeah, the weird creepy playground with anyway. So that was what it was like, and it was very dark. They did turn the lights on in the end, but
save a bit of money, I think, just by leaving them on past a certain time.
Yeah.
But what about the performance in general?
Oh, much like the previous month and a bit, it's just not been good enough. We've lost 5 in a row now. That's never where we want to be. It's just the way it is, though, unfortunately.
And Yowie, loose man in defence for a brief time, just sat at half back.
Well, he came back. He played 70 minutes and did he does what he does. Like, he dominates in the midfield, and then I think he was an All-Australian defender, so he knows how to go back there. But I think he just tried to do what he needed to for the team. We were getting opened up a bit, and he popped himself back.
Did you see the East Perth physio bounce off the bench when Camo went down? And I thought he'd broken his leg in half the way he got caught underneath him.
Yeah,
the pain. And the East Perth physio bounced out of his seat and was there literally as Camo went to ground.
It was 2 metres in front of their bench, so not a hard one to bounce up for. But it didn't look great. I was playing forward at the time, and I could see him leading up, and I saw it get caught under there, and I was like, that's not going to be good. But no, I didn't see I'll have to rewatch the video.
Very good. Well done to the East Perth physio as well. In regards to injuries and the ankle problems, and you were also Wither was a late withdrawal, Alex Witherden, of course, over there. Shep went down with an ankle. Doesn't tape it up, and Jared Healy on socials, very bullish about players who don't tape up their ankles.
Go easy on Jared. He's my man.
Yeah,
he's a big fan.
Okay,
Jared,
you're a good
man.
It's interesting the old tape debate, Oz. I remember I played a season I played 12 games for the Sandy Zebras, who are aligned with St Kilda over in Melbourne.
The Zebs.
The Zebs, and the Zebs. And every St Kilda player that came back had to tape their ankles. It was just mandatory. You had to do it. I've never taped my ankles playing football.
Really? So everyone tapes both ankles?
Yeah, they come home, they come back, they tape both ankles. It's just how it goes. I guess prevention for, I don't know if they'd still do that now with the reduction in the soft cap.
Yeah.
But it's they just taped they taped both ankles the whole time, and I've never done it personally. What about yourself? Do you tape your ankles going out?
I do tape both ankles.
Have you got bung ankles or?
Yeah, I had one really bad ankle, which I think I had 13 occurrences of rolling it since I've been at the club. So I also strap every other part of my body as well. So I'm probably an outlier. I'm not sure if everyone else wears as much tape as I do, but I don't think it would be a common occurrence at all.
I reckon you get 50% of players taping at least one ankle at the club.
So he was he was shocked, and he's a physiotherapist by trade, so he's probably got some substance to what he's saying. But is it all syndesmosis concern where some do and some
I don't know, but I mean, getting injured's part and parcel of footy. Like, yes, we can go out and prevent taping if you tape your ankle. I mean, that's why wouldn't everybody tape their thumbs? Because if you get a thumb injury, why wouldn't everyone tape their knees in case they get a knee injury? I mean, like, you can just extrapolate that to taping every part of your body, and so everyone rolls out there like a mummy.
And one thing our physios are big on, if you continually strap your ankles all the time, your body becomes reliant on it, so it doesn't get its strength back to full capacity, and then you've got this psychological thing where if you don't have your ankles strapped, you're worried about it, and then you're more likely to roll it as well. So I don't think it's necessary if you haven't had a history
and our physios are pretty big on proprioception and just building your own sort of muscle strength. Now, just quickly before we move on about your strapping and taping.
Oh, no.
You said to me yesterday, you threw an interesting... We'd love our useless AFL stats here. You threw an interesting stat about me in terms of the listed injuries that you've had in your career. If you'd just like to run the Coast to Coast listeners through this one, because it's a nice little tidbit.
I do. So every time you have some sort of injury or you report anything, so it might be a cork, a little ankle roll, my shoulder, like you saw, elbow or whatever it might be, they record it and they put it through the database, and they can look back at all the scans and all the history you have. So I played 48 games for the football club.
Yep.
And I've had 65 injuries that have been recorded by the football club over my 4 years here. I don't know if there's many other players that have played nearly 50 games. So there'd be a lot of guys who've got more injuries than games. So younger players who haven't really played many games yet. But yeah, I'm chasing the clubhouse leader. Can you guess who that clubhouse leader would be for the West Coast Eagles?
I can, because I know it. You told me yesterday.
Over the journey. What era?
He's old.
No, he's playing currently.
Yeah,
still,
playing.
But he's old.
Boots.
No.
No, incorrect. Thumper, you're back there. You want to throw a guess in?
Question. I'm trying to edit something. Who's injured? Who's been injured the most?
Yeah, on the
Who's got
data.
the most listed injuries in our data.
On the data.
And it's an old fella for JK.
Yeah, Thumper's over there editing and didn't really hear the question, but still nailed the answer. Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, Joshua J. Kennedy.
He's over the 1-to-1 ratio, isn't he?
He is. He's over the one. No, he's under the 1-to-1. So he's played about 200 mid 200s games. I think he's about 170 recorded injuries. So
is there anyone else at the club who's over the 1-to-1 at a decent amount of games?
Gov would be over.
Gov, okay.
Nick must be not far away.
No, so the thing is, if you have one injury, which may go for a year, so say you do your knee, that goes.
There you go.
So what you need a little niggle. So you need to get lots
you need
of
to have
corkies.
17 injuries going on at once. Yeah, you can still roll out and
but
play
things
with.
You can still play with.
There you
that's
go.
the secret.
There you go.
Nice work by you.
Speaking of injuries, I was actually speaking with JK because I'm wanting to chase down his record of injuries. And not only injuries, but injuries that require surgery. I'm not going to say how many surgeries I've had because some have been kept under the wraps by the club, and I think there might be a reason for it. However, JK, I believe every off-season he's had surgeries, including 2 in one off-seasons. He told me yesterday it's either 15 or 17 surgeries he's had during his football career.
Well, I was listening to, funny you mentioned surgeries, I was listening to Xavier Ellis's podcast, It's Time for a Beer, and he had Beau Waters on. And I think he has had 34 surgeries. He had 34 surgeries in his footy career. So there's one to chase down.
He's a good clubhouse leader because speaking to JK, he said Bowie would have had more because he had a lot of elbows.
Yeah.
So pins taken in, pins taken out, pins put back in. So there's 2.
There's 2.
So it works well that way. But yeah.
You got any pins?
I do.
Yeah, I got a couple as well. I got 2 in my foot.
Yeah, say less.
Yeah, exactly. Don't say where.
I've got 4 in my forearm.
4 in the forearm.
It's Hammer Time votes time right now. Coming
Yes.
off a loss, it's always difficult.
It is always difficult.
Coaches Award was interesting. Can I just throw this one at you?
Yeah, you
Only
can.
2 West Coast Eagles got votes in the Coaches Awards.
Yep.
Nick Nat got 2 votes and TK got 1.
Yes. Well, you've spoiled the party a little bit there, Goss. That might be a little indication, but nevertheless, we push on.
You're not guided by the coach. You always say you're not on the coaching staff.
I'm not on the coaching staff, and I have got reasons for my for all my vote getters. Now, the one vote today, I was tossing up between a few players. There was a few that had played a good game, done some good things, and the one vote getter sitting to my left, one Oscar Allen, one vote Allen.
Thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought you were great on the day. Six contested marks or four contested marks. Kicked a goal. Had quite a little bit of the footy. You were up both ends of the ground. I thought you played a great game.
Yeah, I think if I converted in front of goal, it probably would have been a bit of a better day. And I think that was a bit of a story of a lot of our forward line. JD missed a set shot, which he never does. He's like the best set shot ever. But yeah, thanks. I thought it was all right, but definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, well, there's my one vote getter. I was tossing. Oh, look, I'll be honest.
I didn't mean to sound like I was shocked.
No, Gus just saying, I thought he was. That's all right. Go on. Say less.
No, look, well, I'll be honest with you. I was tossing up between a few for the one vote getters, and
It might be an unsung hero. You never know.
yeah, the fact that you were on my direct left swayed the votes a little bit.
Perfect.
2 votes. This bloke has had probably the best month definitely the best month since being at the club. I think I reckon he, with the exception of this game, would have polled in the Brownlow the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. Tim Kelly, another tremendous game. I think he's been dominating the clearances. He's contested work. He had 15 contested possessions or something and had 8 clearances and just dominates in the middle of the ground. Really gets the ball going forward for us and has been a pivotal part to our game. So 2 votes to Tim Kelly, which is reflected in the coaches' votes and obviously reflected again in the coaches' votes.
Sorry.
Tim, it would be difficult for him to do his work without the brilliance of Nick Nat-Nui. I think for us on the weekend, a clear 3 vote getter.
Yep.
I don't know what it felt like on the ground, Oz, but watching, he did everything that he could to set us up. He'd win the taps. Mummy's a big dude, so we did what he does best. Nick won his own footy, had a few clearances of his own, but his tap work and just the way he puts pressure on the ball is, I think, very warranted of a 3 vote game.
So how does that look for the leaderboard then? Because you've been given the leaderboard.
I have been given the leaderboard. Thank you, Thumper. I left my little book at home. 1 vote, J.K. Shuey, Rotham, Hearn. 2 votes, Gov Cripps. 3 votes, Petruccelli, Redden, Archie. 4 votes, Darling, Sheed. 5 votes, nobody. 6 votes, Nick Nat-Nui and Tom Barras. 7 votes, Oscar Allen and Andrew Gaff. And the new leader of the Hammer Time votes,
New clubhouse leader
on 8 votes, is Tim Kelly.
Yeah, I think that's a fair representation of the season with TK leading. He's had a really, really consistent year. Obviously someone who didn't get votes this week.
Yeah.
And I'm not always going someone who doesn't get votes, but someone who has actually got votes in the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
And a lot of recognition in the last couple of weeks as well. That would be Jamie Cripps for me.
Yeah, excellent.
So Cripper worked really hard on the weekend, kicked 2 goals, 2 really good goals, had 10 touches, but Cripper's output is more than just on the stat sheet. He works really hard through that half-forward line. It's probably the hardest role to play in an AFL side. Yep. And in a game which wasn't really conducive for good ball movement, which is what players like him thrive on, he took his chances. He was really sacrificial with his work rate. And so Jamie Cripps, our unsung hero for this week.
Excellent stuff, Cripper.
Nice. Tommy Cole, I thought was good too. I mean, I was watching from the other side of the country. I thought Tommy Cole was...
Cole was good.
Yeah, he was good. Only one can win it. So
All right, whack on the way through. Now, social media, Ed, we're into Hammer's inbox. You're very keen to include this in the Coast to Coast podcast. Look at them go for their phones. Have a look at these blokes.
Yeah, well, I've been getting a few. I've been getting a few nice little inboxes from the fans listening at home. I had one guy whose name is just Michael. Send me Jason Dunstall's Instagram.
Yes.
Don't know if he was calling me a chief or what.
They've launched Jason Dunstall's Instagram. Chief doesn't want anything to do with it.
Chief doesn't. Well, he's just messaged me that. So thank you, Michael. Had someone say, "Love the podcast. Any chance Oscar Allen would join Cameo? Have you heard that before, Ozzy?"
I have had a couple. The actual Cameo account have been messaging me pretty often, but I don't think I will. There are some other players on Cameo.
Well, yeah, he said this person has said, last time I checked, Boots and Jackson Nelson were on there, and Boots was charging less than Jacko Nelson. Why is this? Is it because he doesn't get paid enough to play footy?
That is outrageous from Jacko. I don't know where he's got his figures from, but Boots no disrespect, should be warranting a bigger paycheck.
Oh, no question. And then I had another question from James Knowles. Hey, Hammer, question for this week's podcast. Ballsy move by Oz announcing his new contract the same day as the Bont. Are they equivalently big? James from Adelaide. We've touched on this a little
God,
bit, James.
no.
Yeah, God, no. I wouldn't have thought. And yeah, that's they're just a couple I've got from this week. Ozzy, have you...
I do have a
anything you
couple.
like?
I've got one from a Tom Smirk at Tom Smirk Official.
Tommy Smirk.
I believe you know Tommy Smirk. Do you want to talk about how you know Tommy?
Yeah, so when you get drafted over as a young fella at West Coast, you get put in with a host family. My host family were the Smirks, Richard and Judy, and their oldest son, Tom.
Who live in a beautiful place.
Yeah, tremendous house in City Beach. Anyway, I was there for 3 years and got to know Tommy quite well, and I'd like to hear what Tommy has to say.
So, Tommy, he said, mate, for the pod this week, please ask Ham about the Winx theory, how it came about, and to provide some peer-reviewed research into its credibility. And we always
say this:
gamble responsibly. Enlighten us.
I will. The Winx theory. Now, Tommy was back at home during our little lockdown period, so we had plenty of time on our hands to kick about, and we always practice gambling responsibly. But there was the greyhound racing over in England. They're called the bags. The bags, they get called over there. Anyway, we've come up with a theory whereby any dog paying under $2 in England is basically Winx and just physically can't lose.
It's unbeatable.
Unbeatable. You get a $1.95 quote on him, bang, thanks for coming, because it is Winx as a dog.
And gambling responsibly, I believe we have tried this once or twice, and it worked out quite favourably for the fellas. So,
I've thrown the Winx theory out there if you'd like to. I mean, we obviously practice responsible gambling, but that's the Winx theory there. Thank you very much, Tommy Smirk.
M also, this one popped up, M ! On Twitter said, Miss Rangaroses drew Oscar for my birthday. Gord, I nearly cried. Look at him.
Yeah,
I've
seen
good.
that.
Yeah, that is an awesome drawing. Yeah.
That is amazing.
You're a bit more tan in the picture than you are in real life.
I don't mind that, though. The pictures make me look a little bit better than what I am. But
M !
that is some serious talents.
And even the detail in the jumper, the AFL logo, the Hungry Jacks.
Straight to the pool room.
Maybe need Castor on there these days.
Get rid of ISA and put Castor, but that is unbelievable.
Yeah, very well done, M. But that's my wrap
nice
from the
work.
socials this week.
The Hammer inbox. Nick Holman got off his 2 weeks for the tackle on Mitchy Duncan. No surprise.
As he should have.
As he should have.
Nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with that. You can't look at the outcome, look at the process that happened before it. And I think it wasn't an action which is with intent to hurt someone.
The buddy kicked 6 for Sydney. It was awesome to be here to watch him do his thing. But interesting enough, he played on Griffin Logue, and Griffin Logue actually played well.
Yeah, I thought Griff played a great game. I'm good mates with him, and we have there's a few of us that are in a little group chat, and the boys were saying, mate, you played a great game, albeit he kicked 6. He's averaging 7 at Optus, buddy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get this stat wrong, and please correct me if you know what it is. He's the first player since, I think, Tony Lockett to have kicked more than 5 goals on multiple occasions against 15 teams?
16 teams.
16 teams?
16 teams, yeah. I did see that stat. And on the Griff thing, sometimes you're just playing on a good play, you shake his hand and say, I was all right today, but you were pretty good too. And you go your separate ways. You get that AFL footy, you play on good players, and that happens.
Don't want to try and trump you for a fun fact, but a useless AFL fact coming into this game against Essendon. Did you know on the weekend, which was the 21st day of May and the 21st year, Dyson Heppel finished with the ball in his hands and wearing number 21, and it was kicked to him by Nick Hind, who was his 21st disposal.
Wow,
that is a good.
That's a tremendous fact.
That was one of the better useless AFL. That's almost a useful, but not quite.
I had I am going to backtrack quite a few weeks here, and I'm sorry that I've missed this one out because it is someone that is near and dear to me, given the fact that he wears the number 22 at the West Coast Eagles. He was a useless AFL stat that I just didn't know about until the other week. Isaiah Winder,
the Winder Man,
was the 1,000th for individual first name debut in AFL. So Isaiah, he was the 1,000th new first name to play AFL footy.
So no one's ever played AFL footy with the name Isaiah?
No.
Well,
the 1,000th. Isaiah, Izzy, anyway.
Izzy?
But he is 1,000, number 1,000 for the new first names.
That's a great stat, and that's something to be proud about as well.
The big 1,000.
Big part of the show, it's Who Are You? No wingman today.
No one to help me, although I don't get much help from them. I normally carry the ship, but I think last week I actually did get a bit of help from our guest, Jacko. He was pretty good for us.
Welcome. Yes, you do get. You are often carrying the torch, carrying the team, I should say. Now, look, I've done this as I do most weeks with Lex prior and got it in 9.
9.
You've been smashing. You've been smoking over the last couple of weeks.
Smoking Joe.
You have been red hot form. Anyway, the mystery player. Now, I have taken a bit of. I've heard your concerns, and I really have tried this week to start it off hard and get easier. I mean, that's even with the personal facts, because as of the last few weeks, the 5 personal facts have just been ludicrous all the way through, and do not get any easier. So I will try and make these, or have tried to make these, difficult, then getting easier.
Thank you.
The whole way along. Okay, number 1. He's beaten every team in the comp.
Beaten every team in the comp. Okay, so instantly I'm thinking someone that's played a bit of footy. Continue.
Clue number 2. If he could be any animal in the world, he would be a lion.
Any animal in the world lion beaten any team in the comp. Is it Jack Redden?
It's not Jack Redden.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Come on, early though.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, number 3. Clue number 3. He's only ever worn 1 number at the West Coast Eagles. Just going off our jumper conversation last week. Thought I'd throw that one in.
Only worn 1 number at the Eagles. He's obviously played at more than 1 club. Is it Brendan Archie?
It's not Archie.
He gets mentioned every
week.
One day it'll pay off.
Clue number 4. His favourite cuisine is Japanese.
That's a lot of guys.
Yeah,
a lot of the boys
Japanese.
love Japanese.
Move on.
Thank you.
Clue number 5. The maximum amount of disposals he's had in an AFL game is 25.
All right. Time to narrow in.
Time to zero in.
I reckon that's way left field. I reckon he's not normally that high.
Max disposals 25.
Yep.
So it's not Alex Witherden, obviously.
It's not Alex Witherden. He had 30 like 2 weeks ago.
He's had 30 twice this year.
Clue number 6. It's, now they start to get a little bit more
Hang on.
gentle. Yes?
Is it Jamie Cripps?
It's not Jamie
Ooh.
Cripps. Oh, Jamie Cripps would have been a great guess for this next clue. But anyway, clue number 6. If he had his ideal day, one thing that he must do would be to go for a surf. Would loved you to have had Cripper in the bank for that one.
Go for a surf. Mm-hmm. So you say he's beaten every team. Is that including the Eagles?
No, not including. Sorry, yes.
okay.
Sorry.
I've been thrown.
Not including the Eagles. Sorry.
He's only worn 1 number. Fave Japanese. Max disposal 25. Is it Tom Barras?
It's not Tom Barras.
Oh, jeez.
Clue number 7.
Okay.
He's played in 3 AFL finals.
Played in 3 finals. This makes me think. Obviously, 2018. It was probably someone who probably didn't play in 2018. I'm led to think. Every ideal day starts with the surf. He's had 25 before. Is it Jackson Nelson?
Yeah, it's Jackson Nelson. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellent. The next one would have given it away. His relationship status is very, very single.
His relationship status is lacks commitment.
Very, very single for everybody listening out there. He's the 9th one would have been a gimme. He's only ever kicked 1 AFL goal. We mentioned that last week. And number 10, describe Oscar Allen in 3 words.
Oh, no.
Loud, annoying, obnoxious. There you go.
Spot on. I mean, I was thrown askew by beating every team because I should have clarified.
Sorry,
that is on me, but... Yeah.
There you go.
I was going
Jackson
with a lot
Nelson.
of guys that had played for 2 clubs. And
obviously, if you thought he'd beaten every team, which, I should have probably clarified that. Anyway,
That's
you
all
get
right.
that.
I thought he would have had more
What was
than
your
25.
guess while you're at it? Goss? Nick Nat, yeah.
And as soon as you said surfing,
Yeah,
that was me
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Interesting, may we say, it is now known as Jackson Late Inclusion Nelson.
Yeah, late inclusion.
3 times in his career on away trips, he's been brought in, he's been taken over as the emergency and come into play.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff. I mean,
That is a useful stat. That's not useless. That is a useful stat.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. Essendon, of course, this week, as we've touched on, they've already been here and they're ready to go. Jacket-waving rivalry, of course, through the Sheedy Malthouse days. When you were growing up, do you remember it?
I wasn't when I was... Oh, what year was it?
Mitchell White's era. Number 12, the great number 12.
Yeah, Mitchell White won
Remember the slashing the throat?
goal kicking in 1996. I think he might have won the goal
90s,
kicking.
yep.
I only know that Jacob Brennan and I were doing a trivia quiz for the community department, and that might have been one of the clues.
It was all part of that. And also, remember when Mitchell White and Kevin Sheedy walked down and did the big...
Well, I don't, because I don't think I was born at that point.
Yeah, that's what I was going on. I don't think I was born either.
I have seen the vision, but I
do know what you're talking about.
I wasn't born.
This is another Batmobile moment. I can hear it right here.
Yeah.
It is a Sir Doug Nicholls round. Loving all the jumpers. Love ours. It's been designed by Daryl Bellotti, of course, who's related to Laurie Bellotti, who played at the club as well, played 20-odd games for the club. And also, I think, if I remember rightly, Laurie won the Coaches Award. Won the Coaches Award 1 year.
He could have. He definitely could have.
There is a possibility of that happening.
Yeah, I'm sure it's some way or the other it could have happened. Now, but just on Sir Doug Nicholls round, Oscar and I, as along with Brendan Archie, Jared Cameron and Jermaine Jones, we went down to St Catherine's College, just off UWA yesterday, and spent an hour or two creating the shield that we're going to give, or that the boys are going to give over to Essendon before the game.
Yeah, so we exchanged presents on Indigenous round, so the Indigenous boys will exchange with the Essendon Indigenous players. Yep. We made a shield, and I think we did an unbelievable job.
We did a great job.
Hopefully it'll be coming out in the media, all the socials.
So when you have a look at that, think Oscar Allen and Hamish Brayshaw on the clean-up crew. So I'll just give a little intro. So what it is, it's a glass shield, and the way they do it is they put glass shards in patterns on there and then heat it up in the kiln, and it'll sink in and it'll all sort of fuse into one. Ozzy and I were in charge with the paintbrushes of going around and cleaning up the excess glass shards. So the clean-up crew we were calling ourselves. So when you see a nice little...
when you see those clean lines, that's us.
That's us.
I've got no artistic flair whatsoever, so I was not making the patterns, I was just
just
sculpting.
cleaning it up. Excellent stuff. So keep an eye out for that.
Well done to everyone involved in Sir Doug Nicholls round, and of course the new jumpers, and well done to Daryl Bellotti and everyone involved. And don't forget, head to the West Coast Eagles website or socials to see that design as well and hear the creation story. And don't forget, Eagle Stories also, they dropped this week. Arch and the AFL and his personal journey, diverse multicultural background.
Yeah, his is a great one. I watched that the other day, actually.
He's a good talker, isn't he?
He's a great talker. Just such a good fella.
Good man.
Upstanding gentleman. I was saying this the other day, he'd be right up in there in the top 5 blokes I've ever met through football, I think.
Yeah.
I think Matty Allen's in there, Drew Petrie's in there, Liam Duggan's in there, Fraser McInnes is in there, and I think Cheese Slot's in there.
That is a good 5. That's tough to beat.
Josh Smith is a...
Josh Smith would be...
He's the unsung hero, honourable mention.
He's the unsung hero.
Yeah, he's a good man.
But Archie, a stand-up fella. I didn't know, but he reckons he's been on 10 year in the system, and after his draft contract, has been on 1 year deals for 8 straight years or something.
Yeah, and he has actually an interesting story. I remember my first year I was playing... We were playing at East Perth together.
Yep.
We were aligned with East Perth at that time. And I came in, I had an injury, and I came in and played league football at East Perth.
Yep.
And she goes, "You guys don't understand how lucky you are." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? We're playing East Perth footy. All due respect, I want to play AFL footy. That's why I got drafted." And he goes, yeah. He was obviously drafted to Port Adelaide. He didn't make his Sandful league debut until his 3rd season. He was playing in the thirds, so the 2s.
The 22s.
The 22s.
Yeah, the 2s.
For his first 2 years at Port Adelaide.
Gee whiz, I didn't know that.
And that's like the changing of the guard a little bit. I think that's really rare nowadays. But
How did he get another year at Port?
He must have shown a lot of talent in the 22s.
And very glad that they stuck by him, because he is. I find it funny. Whenever he comes back to Waffle, he just plays so well, and he dominates. I do quite enjoy him coming back and playing for us, but he's a bit too good for that level, I think.
It's a big Saturday. You've got South Fremantle down at Freo, and
Lemmy Park.
Yeah.
Duck across the road and get one from the Freo markets.
How will the canoe go in wet weather this weekend?
Oh mate,
hopefully,
hopefully it's all patched up and we can get a run. But it's going to be an interesting game, mate. We'll see how we go.
Come back to the podcast next week for the story about the leaky canoe. I'll leave it with you.
Yeah, one of the great stories.
Good luck on the weekend down at Fremantle Oval, and good luck at Optus, and well done on your contract, and thanks for being so honest with our listeners. And thanks to the team at West Coast Health and High Performance.
Wow. We got a sponsor. Is that about damn time?
And we roll into the top 100.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where we're at. If we can get an update on that next week, that'd be fantastic. But here we go, moving up in the world.
Yeah, good on you, Tex Perkins, of course,
Tex
and
upstairs.
West Coast Health and HP High Performance on board our Coast to Coast. Good luck on the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.